Hello, this is Brian Kluth, and so glad you're able to join me here on this little video. This evening, we just finished our online group, and we had discussion on the week 1 worksheets. We looked at the life map that people found very valuable and helpful. We also looked at people's skills and abilities, and we had some conversation about that. But I forgot to hit the record button, and so I'm just going to kind of summarize what you need to be thinking about for this next week and the worksheets that we have available for you. This is going to be a helpful week as far as what you can really discern about your own life and your spiritual gifting and looking at your finances. And so this week we have a worksheet on your spiritual giftedness. And what we have is we have a series of definitions. Here's the sheet here. And how God is, if you're a Christian, God has spiritually gifted you. And so we have some excellent worksheets that I've developed from other materials that others had written over the years that I found very, very helpful. And so the idea of the worksheet is you actually just read through the descriptions of spiritual gifts. You'll see the characteristics, the definitions. You'll see verses that relate to those spiritual gifts. There's a place to write down if you've had any experience in those areas. And then at the end of these worksheets, you really want to identify where has God gifted you? Where do you see God working through you, or have you seen God working through your life in the past? How have you benefited and blessed others? And so that's really the focus of part 1 of the spiritual gift survey. But there's also a second sheet, and the second sheet says, where do you fit? What are the available ministries within many churches? And so being a pastor and serving my congregation, we used to actually give this out every year to our congregation, and people would look at all the opportunities that they had to serve the Lord within our church. We also had things that they could serve in the community, but this particular sheet is related to church. And so I put this together, and the idea is that you can look these things over and you can see where you've served in the past, but especially where you may be able to serve the Lord in the future in a church context. And there's actually 78 different types of ministries within a typical church. Now, all churches will not have all of these, but sometimes in a church, you can even start some of these if they don't have it. So that's just a really helpful resource, and hopefully you'll find that very, very beneficial. The next section is what we're calling a money map. And out of all of the things we're doing related to the Retirement Rewired online course, these sheets may have the potential to be some of the most significant and helpful sheets for you. There are 6 different sheets. We're not expecting or assuming you're going to go through all of these sheets in the next week, but we are going to want you to look over the sheets and begin to write down things that you are finding helpful, begin to put down information that you already know, begin to use these sheets to kind of guide you in your discussions and your conversations. You're going to have the opportunity to look at your current income and cash flow and potential changes in the future. You'll be able to look at your expenses and what you can do to evaluate those. My wife and I recently, a couple years ago, did a course that I helped develop where you actually go through all your finances and you look at every expense and you say, hey, do we need to do this? Is there a better way to do this? Is there a more affordable way to do this? So there's a sheet that you can use that on all of the expenses in your life. We have a list of all of your assets. What do you have or what might you have in the future? If you're going to get inheritance or anything like that. And what are those things worth? And again, looking at how long are you going to keep them? When might you gift them away? When might you sell them? When might you need the money from that? When might you give some of that to charity or your church or Christian work? So there's those things. There's also a list of financial account, a page with financial accounts. So you can literally indicate all your financial accounts and the values and the account numbers and the login information. So if you were gone, if one of you were gone, that your spouse has that critical information. That particular sheet is very, very, very important. I've helped so many people over the years get that sheet in place in their family, and it was so valuable to their spouse and to their loved ones or adult children to have all that information in place. But I want to explain just for a moment the very first money map. Again, there's 6 of them. Oh, there's also a place to record your charitable giving interest and how you want to give now and in the future. But what I want to talk about first is the number 1 money map. And it says income and cash flow sources. And here there's all the different ways that you all the different ways that you may be able to have access to money or income or cash. And you just want to go down and indicate, checkbox those items that you have now or you could have in the future. So you want to do that. And then there's a place to say, what is the current value of those dollars? And you can literally write that in currently. But then there are 4 more columns, and it says change number 1, change number 2, change number 3, change number 4. And so what you can do is you can say, okay, what are some future changes that may come into my life that are really going to change what we have for cash flow, what we have for income. And so I'm just going to read a couple of these on the sheets. So for example, the first person retires. That's one change. And obviously income changes when that happens. A second person retires. For some of you, that's already all happened. But for others, it's going to happen in the future. When does Social Security start? For me, it's going to be another 6 years before I do that. For my wife, it'll be another 7 years. Do you have any plans to move or change your home and location? What if there's health issues that come, or when health issues come that impact your ability to work and make an income? What does that do if that income, your work income, is suddenly gone? What about moving into a retirement home or moving in with a family someday, a family member, or even the day of your heaven day? Yes, there's the day of your death. I like it to call it your heaven day. If you know you're on your way to heaven, it's not the day of your death, it's the day of your departure. It's your heaven day. But anyway, on this sheet, you're going to be able to say, okay, what is the cash flow like right now? And then you can write in what changes you anticipate in the future. And so that you can then go ahead and just kind of play with those numbers and see, okay, what's going to happen. I'm talking to a friend of mine right now, and they're making some changes in their life because his wife's about to retire, and they're really trying to grapple with, okay, what does that mean for us? If her income is gone, what changes do we have to make? And they're looking at selling assets, they're looking at doing a number of things, they're considering a move, all of that because of the change of his wife retiring. So these worksheets, actually email these to him. He's not in the group, but I emailed these to him, and so that he can have this to kind of work through some of his decisions. So one thing I want to say about anything in this course, you are free to share it. My wife and I have been sharing the life map with a number of people. This last week, we've had conversations with people. We're going to be sharing the financial money map with a number of people. They don't have to take the course. They can just freely access the material. You could actually just pass something along to somebody if you know anybody that the material could help them. If you want, they can also jump in and be part of the course at any time. Someday, some of you that watch this, you may want to lead your own group. You may have an online group or a home Bible study group or a Sunday school group or a men's group or something where you actually just facilitate allowing people to go through these materials over a 6-week period. So that is certainly something we give people permission to do. The way it's working right now, there's no cost associated with it. All we do is invite people to make a love offering to our healthy charity work in Africa at the end of the training. And we're grateful when people do that. But anyway, we hope this is helpful to you. We want to be a blessing to you. We believe God has a bright future for you, that some of your greatest and best days are ahead of you. And so we just want you to help have tools and things in your toolkit to figure out what do these best years look like? How are you going to get there? How do you determine what they are? How do you invest your time, your money, your skills, your abilities, your experiences, so you are blessed and that you are able to be a blessing? Because Psalms 67:7 says, God blesses us that all the ends of the earth might worship him. The ends of the earth might be across the street. They might be, across town. They might be in America. They might be on the other side of the world. But God has blessed you and he wants to make you a blessing. So we trust these tools, these worksheets will be a valuable help to you as you continue to seek the Lord and process what he's put within your life and the things that you can touch and think about and influence as you are led to shape your future in a way that honors God and blesses you and a lot of other people. Thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye now.